We are now going to go and say a very good morning here to the Honourable Member for Signal Hill Kitty Bay, leader of the New Democratic Party, Lorraine Michael. Good morning.
Good morning, Randy. How are you?
Not bad. How are you doing?
Doing okay, thank you very much.
Despite all of this snow.
Despite all the snow, yes.
This is the winter from hell.
It is. I'm ready for it to be over now, along with an awful lot of other people, I think.
If you could convince people that you have the power to manage the weather, you could be Premier for life.
Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah.
I'd vote for that person, too, by the way.
Yeah, I'd vote for yeah, I wouldn't care what party they're with. They'd get my vote, I can tell you. Yeah. Anyway, what's up? Enough of the jocularity. What is up this morning?
Well, a couple of things. One, because of all the noise during the week, I wasn't saying anything much, but I do want to just make one final comment with regard to this issue about the polling and the parties and the polling. Yep. Because when the Premier says, oh, everybody does it, we're doing what everybody else does, I just want definitively on your show to say what we do as a party, not what the Premier's interpretation is. We all know these polls are unscientific.
That's
but
right.
If a poll comes up on your station, one of the other stations, or the Telegram, and it looks like an interesting topic that we know our members are interested in, we'll just put out a public notice through social media or CBC or whatever that you may want to look at today, and that's all that we do. We do it publicly. People know that we've done it. We've put it out. We don't put any energy into calling people or checking on people or have mail lists done up or do the kind of intensive orchestrated stuff that was indicated in all the coverage this week with regard to the government offices. Mm-hmm. And I want to make that statement clearly. I can stand by that statement. I want people to understand that statement.
I guess, yeah, and that's fair. I guess the challenge is, though, okay, so you don't do that. That's fine. The Conservatives do. Is that wrong?
I'm not saying it's wrong, but I'm questioning the use of public money. Because you're talking about staff people who are paid by public money to do this concerted effort, and I don't find that appropriate. I really don't find it appropriate. And I'm glad that it's become public. People now know that it happens, and now people can make their own judgments around that.
I would agree on this level. There is a code of conduct here as it relates to how politicians, as public servants, not as politicians, but as servants,
that's right,
utilize government offices, government supplies, government and everything. Like just for me, if I run for mayor, and I have every intention of doing it again, Lorraine, it would be highly inappropriate for me to sit in my mayor's office, in my mayor's chair, using the mayor's phone to phone my friends looking for their support, or to phone potential financial donors looking for support, and run a political campaign from the mayor's office. That would be highly inappropriate, and I would justifiably, I think, be beaten up pretty bad for that. Aren't you, to some degree, I think the challenge would be, aren't you doing the same thing when you say to a public servant, be they elected or someone that you have hired, and you say to them, use the company phone, use the company computer to go and do these things that are purely for political ends?
That's right.
I'd see that part as questionable, but I'm not sure it's wrong for them to try and just go out and, hey, they want to influence people. I don't know that in itself is bad.
No, the influencing people is not bad. We're all doing that all the time. It's the use of public money, the use of publicly paid staff and publicly paid time to do it that is the issue here. To think that up in the government offices, you have people sitting down and spending time doing that. You take with my constituency assistant, Marianne, has too much to do advocating for people, and that's what she's paid to do, not to advocate for the party. And that's the issue, because it's advocating for the party. You take, for example, when I do something as an MHA, I've had town march. I won't advertise that today, but I am going to have one coming up in March. I have to do that as Lorraine Michael MHA. I'm not allowed to say leader of the NDP. I'm not allowed to have NDP on my signs or anything on my material that goes out. When we put our householders out, we don't put our party on householders. We just have our MHA and our district on it.
Right. But I understand that. Like I understand why that's done. And so if we were going to criticize the political parties for their attempting to influence polling, it would have to be on the basis of you're using government equipment, government supplies to do it, and anywhere else that would be considered inappropriate.
That's right.
So I would accept that as an argument,
and
but I'm not sure. And I'm not sure though that we can actually beat them up because they actually made a concerted effort to try and influence public opinion. Politicians do that all the time.
That's not what I'm beating them up about. I'm talking about using publicly funded time and resources, people, to do that work.
While they're on the public payroll, they're doing political work.
That's right, exactly.
Yeah.
It
is a good point. It would be interesting to hear how government would respond to that piece of the puzzle. Well, any final thought or another item, because I'm going to try and get Mr. Ed Knox in just before I go to news.
Well, I just wanted to make one point about the budget discussions and the stuff that's going on, because you did ask a pointed question of Dwight yesterday. You said you'd asked it to me and you wanted the answer. I just want to talk about what I believe the government has to do.
All right.
And I'm not talking short term here. I'm talking long term, because it has to be long term. You have to do your planning in such a way that it's steady as she goes. With our revenues, especially revenues coming from oil, for example, we can do long-term planning. We have an idea of what revenues are going to be. You always have to have an idea. And you do your planning steady as it goes. You don't overspend in good times and then all of a sudden in bad times say you have to cut. You have to plan so that you can maintain your services all the time, whether it's good times or bad times with regard to revenue. You can't be cutting services every few years and then say, okay, we got to bring it back up again. Now, that's not how you do your planning.
So would you say let's do away then with the yearly budget? Let's go into 5 and 6 year and maybe even 10-year budgets.
I think a government can at least do a vision for 4 years, because we know that we have 4 years to rule as a government when you get elected. So at least give your vision. You see, you have to do annual budgeting, but do it in a 4-year vision. And I think that is the kind of thing that has to start happening. I know there are provinces who do that. I know Manitoba has had that. And you know what? They've got a government that's been in there for 12 years. They're doing something right there. And they do that kind of long-term visioning.
4-year, I'm going to use the term, it's not yours, it's
infrastructure spending in 1 year.
Oh, my. Lorraine Michael, it is good to speak with you always, my dear.
Thank you very much, Randy, and good luck to everybody. And please be careful on the roads.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Going to have all of the political leaders in pretty soon for a show. I think that'll be good.
Oh, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that the last time you did it. I'd love to do that.
We'll do it again. Lorraine Michael, the Honourable Member for Signal Hill, Kitty Bitty, the leader of the New Democratic Party. Good to talk with you.
Thank you so much, Randy.
You have a good day. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.